Welcome to another episode of this special Go With The Flow meets Black Ivy collaboration. For those who haven't tuned into the prior episodes, we're doing a short series where we've had a few guests on. This is the third one we're recording. We think we're going to aim for 4, but just highlighting different members of the community, telling their stories. Again, it's a very diverse but accomplished community. And we think, again, you see a lot of people, whether it's briefly on social media, but you don't really get to see and understand who they are as people. And so this series is just meant to really showcase and highlight people in a meaningful way so you can appreciate all the unique things that they're doing. But we got Frank in the building.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you.
And first, I'm your host, Falarno Kalaja. Thank you for joining in.
The one and only.
The one and only, Flo as they call me.
Yes,
but before we even get started, Frank, just tell the people who you are. Give us your quick background.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say how excited I am to be here. Like, me and Flo are good friends. We go a ways back, and I love everything that you're doing, brother, with Reps Capital, with Go With The Flow. Like, you're an inspiration to us all. But yeah, my name's Franck Germain. I am a filmmaker, screenwriter, and also a co-founder of WYDYE. We are a NYC-based artist collective with this simple goal of just creating and cultivating interdisciplinary collaborations between our members. So it's a bunch of designers, models, filmmakers, editors, architects, pretty much any format and style of artistry. And the entire concept is just to help each other further our careers by just doing work for each other for free, essentially. And it's been an amazing opportunity to be part of that. Something I realized when I was, very young was that very few things are easy to do by yourself. It's honestly impossible to do a lot of things by yourself. So I've just been grateful to have so many amazing and talented friends. And it's honestly been, eye-opening experience, and it's allowed me to see a lot of my, shortcomings, which is not that many, but I got a few.
And there's nothing wrong with having shortcomings, because there's people who are so great at what they do, so it's like you might as well lean into them for that. But trust me, we'll get much more into why. But let's rewind the tape a little bit. Starting in high school. So I read on the WYDYE website that in high school you produced your first musical. Tell me about that process. Why was that something you even wanted to do?
So so creating a musical was something that I never thought I would do. I was lucky enough. So I went to an all-boys boarding school in Virginia, which is I know that.
Right. And I love doing these episodes because even when I have my friends on, I learn something new. All boys boarding school.
And it was so I was in high school. I was this really nerdy, weird kid. Had a high top, had barely got haircuts, but and I was really just myself, and I was very strange, but it was cool because all my friends were strange too, and they allowed me to be myself. And so in high school, me and my friends would always make these skits, and these are the guys who actually helped me found WYDYE, and I'll talk more on that later, but we'd do these musical skits together. We'll do music videos for our Portuguese class, all types of really weird, interesting, fun stuff. And one of our drama directors just caught interest into it, and it was like, you guys are doing all this stuff, every winter we're supposed to do a musical. How about we do an original? And I was like, let's get the boys on the stage, rap a song and dance and, jig a little bit, and why not? So I ended up writing this play called Decatur 404. Decatur 404. Okay. So it was very convoluted plot about gang rivalries, and all the white people in the audience didn't really understand what was going on. But my friends really supported me, and even though they really didn't like to be on the stage or any stuff like that, they supported, and they were on the stage. They performed well. They are amazing, surprisingly amazing singers, which took me for kind of threw me off. But it was just something that I just was. Someone just believed in me and gave me an opportunity. And from then on, I just fell in love with storytelling. It was seeing having people be a part of that experience, and then discussing my art afterwards and coming up with their own theories and ideas, many of which I didn't even come up with. I'm yeah, sure, you saw that. But that was
we met that for sure.
It was just it was just really cool, and it was so validating. And from then on, and my parents were just so proud of me. And I think that for me was knowing that I could share a part of myself through my work was something that I thought was extremely invaluable.
That's amazing. Is there anywhere we can view this production?
It's on
It's on YouTube somewhere?
Please don't look it up.
Everyone, please go look it up. Blow up the comments, blow up the views right now.
Yeah,
See early Frank's creativity.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh. It was like, there was one part where my boy, like Juan, one of the co-founders of WYDYE, is also the main character. He's like on stage singing and performing, and his mic just goes off, and he keeps going. And
Show must go on.
Right, show must go on. What a legend, like, yeah.
And so, high school, next you go to Harvard.
Yeah.
You know, I think the audience has heard of it. Speak to me about how transformational of an experience it was for you going to Harvard.
Man, where do I even begin? I feel like Harvard for me was like, this might sound bad, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but I honestly cannot recall a majority of the things I learned at Harvard.
I say the same thing about Princeton, man. None of these places are about the classroom.
Right.
I'll let you keep going. Yeah.
Right, but it was the people, for real. It was like I was just so blessed to like immediately meet a whole bunch of genuine friends who came from very similar backgrounds as myself, but still like were brilliant, but still had the humility to not like let that Harvard symbol get to their head, because they realized, man, at the end of the day, we're just all niggas. And if somebody sees me on the street, a cop sees me on the street, he's not going to see that H on my chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was that sense of like, I really just respect people who have humility. Because I come from a very humble background. You know, I was born in a refugee camp of like all places. So like, seeing people who like have overcome struggle and have accomplished major things and still have that humility for me was big. But I would say Harvard just allowed me more than anything to just further be myself, because I felt like I have now, because I was in this place that had so much opportunity and pretty much had given me this rank and title that I didn't have to worry about, you know, going this like any specific path or trial, because I needed to earn something. I didn't feel like I needed to prove myself anymore, to say is what I guess is a roundabout way of saying that. Like, I was never thinking of like, you know, I gotta study CS, so I studied English. Like, you can't do nothing with an English degree. Like, you know, like,
don't tell that to all the English majors out there.
But, like, you know, and I didn't like, if I didn't go to Harvard, I probably wouldn't have studied English. I probably would have did like psychology, maybe, which is probably even more used. I don't know, but like, I'm not.
I mean, what major really? Majors are
it's just
if wishy-washy anyway.
So I would say that I just was extremely. I realized the opportunity that I had, and it allowed me to really get deeper into myself and really figure out what it is that I enjoy, you know. And it really allowed me to just have a good time. You know, I was not really worried about like, I knew that the point of college was networking, was building connections, and was, you know, creating lifetime memories. Yeah. And I think I did that. So yeah, no regrets.
And even thinking to some of the ways you were able to express yourself creatively, because and I'll get to this point next, but I know you are part of a dance group. Yeah. You did some music. So just speak to some of the different ways that, again, the campus allowed you to express yourself in those ways.
Right. So so my freshman year, two of my closest friends and myself started the Wahala Boys. So
you started it. I didn't even know y'all started.
Yeah, so it was really interesting, because we were like, it was like we were in like some like the freshman, like the group chat before we got on campus, and a bunch of us were just making jokes about like we were doing like, it was like Africans versus African Americans or some nonsense going on. You know, Jollof versus whatever, you know. But I had made a joke about, we should start a dance group in the chat. And then when Toba came to campus, one of my best friends, amazing dancer, killing it out in SF right now, he was like, let's start this group. So we would go under Annenberg, which was the freshman dining hall, and just practice our dance moves for like a week. And me and Gene would often like, we were pretty shitty. We wouldn't pull up to practice all the time, but because it was our boy Toba running it, we were like, we got to do it. So first show we did, I was nervous, bro. Palms were sweating. Like, I barely had the moves right, but it was so exhilarating. And like, I really felt like a rock star up there, even though like I probably like got 30% of the moves right.
The crowd doesn't know that. They just have it.
So it was really just, it was one of the first times that, you know, like in high school, I had, you know, I did skits and performances, and I'd written a musical, but I was never really front and center. So I really appreciate Toba for that, because he really made me you know, step out of my comfort zone in that way. You know, I never saw myself in high school as someone who was like particularly like a good dancer or even sexy or anything like that.
Mhm.
So to be able to come out, you know, and gain that confidence and be up there with my brothers and knowing that if I, you know, if I missed a step, at least Toba hit that shit. So,
Yeah.
you know, you know?
Yeah.
So it was calm. Man, it was just a beautiful thing, and it was some of my greatest memories. I remember we would go to like other colleges, and this was back when your boy was single. I'm happily in a relationship right now. Love my wife. But yeah, it was such a blast just seeing how everybody appreciated the culture. And before then, you know, I hadn't really gone to school with that many Africans either.
Mhm.
Like, and like at Harvard, to be honest, is mostly like Nigerians. So it wasn't like super diverse in the makeup of Africans, but it was really cool to just see my culture being celebrated and to be a part of that and to be at the forefront of it. So eventually, yeah, the Wahala Boys started our freshman year, and then we expanded it our sophomore and junior year, started recruiting, and then we joined Omanija, which was the standing like Harvard,
Like the legacy.
yeah, the legacy dancing group at Harvard. So then they changed their names to Omo X Wahala Boys. So it was like they joined groups, and now I think there still are like recruiting from both sides. So it's
That's
like
a legacy,
it's a legacy
you guys
thing.
left already, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
Because I didn't even clock that you guys were the three
Yeah.
who had co-founders. So you, Gene, and Toba.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said about one. Shout out Toba, because
Yeah.
he's another person who I've have this newfound appreciation.
Right.
Maybe not newfound, probably in the last year or two-ish.
Right.
For people who really just put themselves out there
Yes.
creatively.
Yeah.
At whatever their art form is, whether it's
Right.
dancing, whether it's podcasting, whether it's clothing, music, you name it.
Right.
It's such a vulnerable thing to do.
It is.
You open yourself up to so much judgment.
I
I used
agree.
to be so scared of what people
Oh
thought.
my gosh.
But then now I'm at a point where like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You only live one time.
Right.
You're only in your 20s with no responsibilities, no debt. I mean, luckily for me, like I'm in a position where if I'm gonna take chances and do all these different things that I want to, like,
Right.
now is the time.
Exactly.
And so people like Toba, or who I look to, where he's doing his dance classes, he's posting on Instagram. People like Venus and Jordan who are doing their dancing.
Right.
People like Gene, who was doing,
Right.
I just name it Harvard people. There's people on other campuses too, but a lot of Harvard people. Yeah, you guys are inspirational.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, shout out Toba for that.
Yeah.
And then he's also, I just love the idea of just, again, he did it and then supporting your friends with it.
Right.
And then you see where it grows. Because from my perspective looking in, because this then pulls into the next thing I was going to talk about is, and I mentioned this before we started recording, on our Princeton campus, I was always looking to y'all at Harvard. I was like, y'all have something so figured out over there with your community, with the type of events you guys put on, just like the clout that you guys have, and just this, I guess, aura before aura was even a word like that. I would always be like taking notes. I was like, okay, how do we try to model ourselves off of you guys? I was the VP of our Black Men's Association, and we were looking at BMF. Like, how are you guys doing things? How do we try to model ourselves so we can also be operating in the same fashion?
Yeah.
So it's always been this cool thing of like, you know of like I knew of you for a long time before I met you. Similar with Gene, similar with so many people, and that's the beauty of social media. Hey man, we don't watch it. I was taking notes. I was studying you.
I appreciate
people
that. That actually means a lot coming.
And so it was cool to just again see people doing their things and be like, okay, they've built this. They're building this thing. How do we replicate, emulate this where we're staying as well?
Yeah. Man, I think, man, you said so much good stuff that I'm like, I don't even know where to start in responding. But I do want to first touch on your point of like that fear of like sharing yourself. And I that really resonates with me because that's something that I have always had to deal with. And I think what I realized though was that really all that fear is like it's the artist's dilemma, right? Because when you create something, you have to pour yourself into it. So when people, we oftentimes fear that if we share our work, people won't find value in it, you know? So if someone doesn't find value in that work that I pour myself into, then that part of me feels worthless, you know? And it's a hard thing to deal with mentally because no one wants to feel worthless. Everyone wants to feel valued. But if you live with that fear for so long, it tends to stunt your growth. You're not gonna grow as an artist. You won't grow as a person. You know, and it's something that I realized is that we currently live in a very anxious and fearful generation because there is so much going on in the world, and we're less prepared than our parents were. So I understand why people are so fearful, but fear is the enemy of growth and the enemy of success. And fear is really, and anxiety, all these things are we're in control of all these things is what I want to just remind people. Like you're the master of your reality.
100%.
Same way, yeah. But and to touch on your point of like just y'all looking at us, man, that means a lot truly, because I like I said, I always have to point at the people who I was surrounded by, like the guys at BMF, like the older guys. They were like our older brothers. Like they did an amazing job of like when we came to campus. Typically the college culture is like the seniors are competing against the freshmen and the sophomores for the freshman girls. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Who doing that? What? Not me.
But that's like someone with the culture.
Make like movies or something. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Right. But when we pulled up, it was love. It was like there's not that many black men here. Like let's get together. Let's make sure that we all feel loved, appreciated. And that was that. And I think that genuine desire for connection is what allowed a lot of us to build the community that we had. Not to say that there wasn't drama, because there was a lot of it. Yeah.
Really? I mean, I'm signed because
Right.
we haven't spoken about it, but I know everything that you said, I'm going to be like, we experienced the same.
Right.
We all live, it's funny how we live pretty
Exact
similar
same realities.
The same
Yeah.
realities
Yeah.
at all our different campuses, especially as like black men, non-athletes,
Right.
we have the same realities. So all those same,
Exactly.
same things exist. And then even back, again, calling back to one thing that you said before we started recording is being able to see black men at other campuses.
Yeah.
And you start building the network before you actually do it substantially. So what I mean by that is like you might follow each other on Instagram.
Right.
So you know of each other. So the
Exactly.
first time you meet each other in person, it's like, okay, I've at least known who you are for a
Right.
bit. And it's kind of taking that first step to
Yeah.
getting to know each other. And it's cool to just have that community start to build.
Yeah.
So again, it was mostly post-grad when we all just
Exactly.
descended on New
And
York
it's so
City.
funny because like even though like for coming to New York was the first time I met a lot of you guys, I never felt like it was the first time we were meeting, because we had, like you said, we were connected on social media and we had seen each other at like Harvard Yale or at other events. So
Which I went to 4 Harvard Yales in a row.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I should get an honorary degree from, from some school at some point.
Nah, for real. No, yeah, man, always a blast, Harvard Yale. Are you going back this year?
I didn't go last year, but if it works calendar-wise, I'll
should.
try
Yeah,
to
this
go.
one is gonna be in Connecticut.
Okay.
So that's, bro, we take
Easy.
the party bus down.
Easy. Oh, yeah. Last time I jumped on a Harvard party bus.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a Harvard grad, too.
Hey, bro. Hey, you are.
Yeah, thank you.
I give you your honorary degree.
I appreciate it. It means a lot. It's going on my LinkedIn and the resume. But okay, now fast forward into WYDYE. Actually, no, even before that, before we get to WYDYE. So you specifically as an artist, and on your profile on WYDYE, it says that you enjoy telling stories that illuminate our shared human experiences, which is something that I love. I always say that's one of the reasons I started this podcast is I love telling people stories. I think as human beings, we're also much more similar than we are different. And so I just love getting people of different backgrounds on here, connecting and just showing the world that like you can talk to anybody. Fuck all the differences that people tend to harp on. At the end of the day, we're human beings and we have the same experiences. So talk to me a little bit about why that's something that's been important for you to try to showcase.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with the point of that we're way more similar than we are different. People, we create to connect, the whole purpose, I believe that, the purpose of storytelling and why we enjoy storytelling so much is because it's like, it's a celebration of like the indomitable human spirit. We want to see people overcome things. We like to see people go through drama and then like knock it down. We don't want to see Jill and Joe living in the suburbs with their 2 kids living happily ever after.
Did you mean to say Jill and Joe Biden?
I just had 2 random names.
I was like, are you referring to the Bidens?
Shit, maybe. But like, we want to be reminded of like hope, and to answer your question, I think like for me, the love of storytelling sort of came from that, because for so much of my life, I had to see my parents struggle a lot, and I went to boarding school and then went to Harvard and now live in an amazing apartment in New York City. So my life is like, yes, I've had to struggle, but in comparison to what they've experienced is nothing. So, and something that, my parents, for them, like they never learned how to really read or write. My dad did eventually, but like not my mother really. So, and something that they would always do was tell stories, because that was their way of, passing down legacy and passing down history. and passing down, contributing to our, our family, history and legacy. So, I really, for me, it was just always like, you know, telling stories is a way for me to share myself, to be able to connect with people who are all the way across the world. It's also, and when I say that, like that mundane, is because I think the most interesting stories are the stories that really just talk about the everyday things. You know, life is often more surreal than fantasy.
Mm.
The things that we experience, deja vu. Like sometimes you do really feel like your life is in limbo. Like sometimes you randomly run into that person who you were just thinking about. All these weird like things that we call coincidence. I think our creator just is very intelligent and is very intentional about putting us in experiences because he knows what it takes for us to grow.
Yeah, I like that a
Yeah.
lot. And you reference one of the things that it also says about your artist profiles, like your art aims to find magic in the mundane. And I love what you just said about, our reality is more exciting or whatever than
Yeah.
fantasy because there's so much going on in our day-to-day
Right.
lives. You walk down the street, you see so many
Right.
interactions. Just living in New York City, based on the experiences that we've had, whether it's a school that we went to.
Hmm.
You said you were born on a refugee camp. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to tell right there,
Right.
and I think that's a part of. I think this just clarifies for me why I'm someone who doesn't really read a ton of fiction. I read a
Yeah.
lot of nonfiction,
I
and
agree.
I think that's a great.
I
Like, I love
agree.
a memoir or an
I agree.
autobiography
I
because, like,
agree.
I want to learn from someone's
Yeah.
life
Mhm.
as opposed to some. Yes, there's stuff you can gain from. Like, I love Harry Potter. There's
Right.
there's stuff you can get
Yeah,
from reading
I'm a
that
big
too.
Percy Jackson fan.
Exactly. I love all those. I love all those
Right.
series, but at the same time, though, like there's nothing quite like a human story.
Mhm.
There's nothing like
It's nothing.
And everyone's just so unique to who they are.
Exactly.
And so it's just there's something beautiful being able to tell that in different ways, whether it's music, movies, TV, like it doesn't matter what it is. But now to jump into WYDYE itself,
Yeah.
which you've been hinting at for a while. So before we even
Yeah.
get into it, just break down the name for me. How
Yeah.
did you come up with
WYDYE.
What does it mean?
Yes. So WYDYE is actually a play off the word wide eye. So it's like supposed to capture how we sort of like our approach to creating art, which is like we're naive kind of. We approach creating art with like a childlike wonder. Like you're not like we don't think anything is impossible. Like
Yeah, stay foolish.
right,
That's
stay
stay
foolish.
hungry,
Yes,
stay
sir.
foolish. That's a
Yes.
Steve Jobs quote.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. It is like because like truthfully, if you have the right team, you can do anything. If you have the right people in your corner, I fully believe in my heart that you can do anything. It's when you're by yourself and when your resources are limited that things become difficult. But yeah, WYDYE, the whole purpose behind that was me and a bunch of my friends from high school, like the same friends who were like I talked about that were in that musical. There's Juan Moreko. He lives in the Queens. He's just like the funniest dude, this Argentinian, like just like hilarious dude who used to play football. My other friend, Chidi Tembo, I call him Alex. He lives in DC. He came from like when we're all in the all boys boarding school. He came from like another boarding school that had like girls. So he was like one of the few popular kids when he came over because he had a whole bunch of girls in his Snapchat and we had never seen women before. And then my brother Owen Mutiganda, he's just like quintessential artist. Like this guy, when you see you've probably seen Owen before, but when you see him, you can tell he's an artist just by the way he dresses. But yeah, he's just like a genius in his own right. But all of them, it was really and I'll get into the story of how we started, but like after we had graduated from Blue Ridge, my best friend Juan, like he ended up getting cancer. And so it kind of derailed like most of his plans for life after high school. And we kept in touch a little bit, but life does what life does, and we eventually just didn't connect as much. But I eventually decided to move back to New York. Well, not back to New York, but moved to New York after I graduated from Harvard. And I met up with Juan, and I had found like we had talked a bit, and he was like still battling with cancer, but we'd meet up somewhat consistently, and eventually he ended up beating cancer. So a bunch of us decided to like let's visit New York and like connect with our boy again. Let's celebrate. So Owen came all the way from Pittsburgh. Chidi came from DC, and we spent a night just in Central Park sitting on this rock. Like it was from like 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. the next morning.
Damn.
Literally just talking and reminiscing. And in that moment, we came up with WYDYE.
Hmm.
We were like, we want to create this, we want to go back to high school and create these skits and be funny and have a good time, but like we don't really have the resources or the tools to do so. So you know what, like let's just do it ourselves. let's find some friends who can help us. And that's how WYDYE started. So really WYDYE is all about just it's about having friends help you create projects.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so wait, how long ago was that?
So that was
5 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah, that was the summer of, I want to say 23.
Okay, so a couple years ago at this point. And so then talk to me, and I love asking this question, is the journey from ideation to actual creation and having something like tangible created. Talk to me about what that process was like of, okay, we have this idea, actually executing it, because there's so much in that in between and so much dies there.
Yeah.
So many people have ideas all the time, but they never actually get to the point of executing, but you guys are able to do that. So just talk to me about that in between.
Yeah, man, I would say, man, our process is really interesting and it's fun. I feel like oftentimes we're just throwing darts at a board and seeing what sticks, seeing what gets us the most excited. I think what we're trying to do is mostly capture we're usually trying to capture a feeling or a moment in time. And recently it has been, at least in the inception of creating WYDYE, for us, it was like that 90s vibe of like watching MTV or Adult Swim at night, or like, that dreamlike era where everything wasn't so serious and things were funny. So like when we're creating art, we're often trying to figure out what is like some, like when I talk about the mundane, what is some like regular stuff that anybody relates to? And then let's flip it on its head. Let's add something weird to it. Let's make it a little surreal. Let's make it a little interesting. Let's make it maybe a little bit corny, you know? Let's add something. Let's make that human experience more human by just adding a little bit more pepper, you know? Yeah. But when it comes to creating the process itself specifically, like the technical, it's like anyone can come up with an idea to create for WYDYE, and you just all members have each other's numbers. We have a group chat. We have a group chat as well, a group me as well. You just reach out to each individual member. Like if I'm like a filmmaker trying to make a short film, we have 2 videographers, we have multiple editors, you know, we have people working on soundtrack. So you just reach out to the team and be like, yo, this is what I'm working on. And 9 out of 10 times, somebody's going to be down to help. And the 1 out of 10 times is often because there's no bandwidth. But yeah, the process is super collaborative. There aren't any there's not like a president and like it's just we're all WYDYE.
Yeah,
you know?
And I love that. And even going back to one of the things that you said at the start, you mentioned it's impossible to do anything by yourself. Yeah. And boy, has this starting Reps Capital has that shown me that that's quite the case. It's funny because I think my podcast Go With The Flow, I really do everything by myself. But I'm trying to get to a point where I do have help with that, but it's impossible to launch something like Reps Capital by yourself. And I've spoken about this so much, but even from initially just thinking through everything that was needed to start a brand, all the conversations I had with people who had brands who were gracious with their time, giving me recommendations about places to get hats. Like this guy, shout out Mike Press, he was the one who was like, oh yeah, use Auto hats. They're great blank hats. Man. He gave me the name of the embroidery shop to use in Midtown. Right. So again, tapping into people. Every stage of the actual creative process. So the photo shoots we will do, it's friends who would help us take the pictures. It was all our friends who modeled for free for our first photo shoot. It's our friends who helped us set up. My brother helped us set up for the pop-up. My friends who helped us get speakers for the pop. Like you can't do anything by yourself. And it's so I think I'm blessed and fortunate that between Mo and I, like we had a network already where it's like, okay, we had people to tap into, but I can see a world in which there's people who want to do whatever creative product or project, and they don't know where to go to even ask for help. And so it seems like this could be a perfect way for, and again, I'll ask kind of what you see the vision is for people who are maybe not be part of the collective, but might have creative endeavors. This is just a great idea to have people have that go-to network of, okay, I want to do this. I don't necessarily have the resources, but I have this idea. Who wants to help in, who wants to tap in and help me create this? So I just love the idea in that sense.
Yes, thank you so much, bro. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's something that just for us just made sense. And it was like a natural occurring thing. Like we knew we needed the help. And so it was a little bit selfish in its initial founding, but like eventually it was just like something that we wanted other people to have it and to be able to experience. Yeah. And also it also helped that we just had a whole bunch of talented friends that, were hungry. Yeah.
And then another thing that I think is important to highlight is, because you said everyone is doing everything for free, right? Yeah. I think there is a beauty in that. Right. I think now, which sounds selfish, but hear me out here. Yeah. Let me land the plane.
There's a lot of beauty to it.
Let me land the plane. I think right now, because again, I think back to my process with the brand, because there were a few things that we needed help with. You
Mhm.
ask people in your network to help you connect with someone.
Right.
They connect you, and then they name a price that's like
Mm.
way too much for what you can afford at the
Yeah.
stage of the brand that you're in. I think there needs to be an understanding that, especially early on, people are just trying to get stuff off the ground.
Right.
If you build the trust in the relationship, ideally you're going to get to a point down the line where we can pay you multiples
Exactly.
because we've been able to grow this due to the work you help us put in at the start. And I think some art, whether it's like models or photographers, they might get like offended at you asking them to do stuff for free.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I'm like, you have a rate. If I can't afford to pay that, we don't need to work together.
Exactly.
Like, there's no reason for there to be this whole like,
Yeah, we don't have to
you're trying to
compromise.
help make me do stuff for free. Like, yes, I am, because like I'm at a point where we can't afford to pay all this for
We're
everything.
building a foundation.
We're building a foundation right now, and ideally we get to a point where we can pay you. But there's this whole like evolution of like, yes, if someone's not gonna pay you for something, like don't do it at all. If that was everyone's mindset, like nothing would get done.
Exactly.
Nothing would get off the ground. If you're a big time model working with some big brand and then you have a friend starting a brand, do you really think your friend can afford to pay you what that brand? Like, just be realistic a little bit. And so that, so that was just an interesting thing to experience when you came across some individuals.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that makes you so much more appreciative of the people who are willing to just give their time for free. Like, I think of, shout out Hamza, who is Mo's boy from Amherst, who all the videos you see on our Reps Capital Instagram, he is a wizard.
Wow.
He is cooking all this. He's
man.
Like he will get
so talented.
If he wants to do this for free, if he wants to do this full time, he's that talented. Like he's that guy. And right now we don't have a budget to pay him. But you better believe that when again we're going to get this thing off the ground in a meaningful way, we are going to compensate him very handsomely.
And I think bro, and I think you're so right, bro. Because like when you do see, and this is not for everybody, but like if you're a genuine person, if someone is doing something for you for free and they're doing it at a high level, bro, you must best believe when I get up, like I'm gonna provide, and that's like always at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, I genuinely believe that, you know, human beings are good people, you know, genuinely.
Yeah, I believe in people. Yeah,
I believe in people. So people don't, you know, this is not a case of like I'm trying to, you know, you're trying to use something.
Exactly. Right. Or get over on you. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think we tend to live in silos and have these thoughts in our heads, but that's not how people typically operate.
Yeah, 100%.
Granted, there are people who operate like that.
Exactly. And so I think there are people who might be jaded based on past experiences, but at the same time, I think we need to believe in our intentions and just, again, trust that people are coming at things from a good place and not just trying to exploit you in whatever way. But so talk to me about how you went about curating the initial class of 2025, which I believe was 13 individuals.
Yeah, it's about, I think 13, 15, about, give or take. But yeah, so that first initial class had been basically a bunch of people that we had been collaborating with on projects. When I say we, I'm talking about like me, Chidi, Juan, and Owen had been collaborating with on projects prior to the establishment of WYDYE. So for example, Haku, or Harry, he's he's amazing musician we've been working with. I was working on a short film before I started WYDYE, and he helped with the soundtrack for that as well. So like, it's just stuff like that, just people that we've met up with who are just genuine people, who were just people who were hungry and were willing, who just wanted to collab. And we just reached out to them through DMs and was like, yo, we're starting this org and we want you to be part of this. We really appreciate all the, you know, everything that you've contributed in the past, and we want to keep working with you. And like everyone that we reached out to was just so ecstatic because they're like, damn, I've always wanted to be a part of something like this, but just I never had, you know, the time, like the resources, or just like, you know, never thought to create it. And honestly, I'm like, me neither. It was really just my boys just, you know, came at the right place at the right time, and, you know, and we just wanted to share that. But that initial class was just, mostly just friends, people, and like people that we've just collabed with that we're doing amazing things. And we just,
And so as you look towards the next year or two, how are you thinking about the expansion of WYDYE? Are you going to try to find a new class every year?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be, again, every couple of years? How are you thinking of growing over the next few years?
Yeah. So like, that's a question that we've been discussing so much. And because for me, I'm like, being part of WYDYE just means you collab with the team, with the group. So if you've ever been on a project, even if you came to just mop the floors once, you know, you're part of WYDYE. And so it's like, when it comes to creating a new class, that's more so of like a social media, like it's a way for us to highlight some of the, I guess what am I trying? It's a roundabout way of me saying that there is no like class. But when we do create, when we do bring in new people and we create like the poster that you would have saw when we released the initial class for WYDYE, it's more so just to give people an opportunity just to be highlighted, because we want to let people know that this is a, this is a team. But when we recruit a new class, is basically just like, if you're in the group, if you're already part of the squad, and if you vouch for somebody, let them come and work with us. Like, and that's really as simple as it is. It's not, there's no exclusivity. If somebody, I've had people like, I've spoken to people in person and they're like, oh, how do I join WYDYE? And I'm like if we're working on something and you're interested in it, let us know. Yeah. And I think the difficult thing is that we're still trying, because it's such a new group and we're at our inception. I hate to call it a group because it sounds like it's like, exclusive, but we're at our inception. It's like we're still trying to build a foundation, and for the people that we currently have, we're trying to like find ways to support them, make sure that we create a platform for their work to be seen. And because it's such a lean team, we do everything in-house. That means most of the editing and videography is all in-house. So that means stuff can be slower to push out because there's so many people. But yeah, I mean, like being WYDYE all just means that you believe in collaboration, connection, contribution. That's really
creativity.
All. Creativity.
Throw another C in there.
Forefront of it, you know what I'm saying? And that's really all that is. It's just like, but yeah, I mean, I would say that, yeah, just like we are trying to throw more events this summer, especially like we're supposed to be doing like a sort of like a workshop where we have a fair where a bunch of artists will bring out their work. Like we have people in fashion who will bring out like the clothes they've been making. I'm working on a short film that hopefully will premiere there at that time. Where we'll have musicians playing as well. So we want people to just come together, connect, and just show their work. Because I'm tired of people like saying, no, I only make art for myself. I think that's a ridiculous way to think. Yeah. And we can get into more of that later. But like, I don't know. I want to create, we want to create we want to dispel the anxiousness, the anxiety, and the fear that our generation has. Everybody wants to be nonchalant and Aura Farm like that. I don't like. Yeah. Like, let's just be ourselves. Let's be weird, Let's be strange. Let's have fun. Yeah. And let's do it together.
Yeah. I think you look someone like Tyler the Creator. I feel like
right.
Weird, but he's himself very successful in many different ways.
Now he has a cult following because of just from being himself.
Exactly. So, and then even like when I think of WYDYE from the outside looking in my mind, this could be something where like you grow a community, it becomes this massive database. It's, not just national, it could be international. And it's just, say I'm dropping into London for a long weekend and I need to work on something. I'm part of this community. I reach out in the chat. And those I think are some of the places you can grow. And I think it's definitely capable of getting to that point once you're able to build out that infrastructure and get it to a scalable point.
Yeah, and to answer your question of like where I see us going is, and I think you really just hit it on the head again, is like we want to create a database where it's like a bunch of super talented artists are verified, and if like these big studios or companies are looking for a videographer or editor, or a musician or a designer, they will reach out to WYDYE and we'll plug our people in. And that way that all of these, HBO, anyone you can think of, like we have somebody in the pocket already that has that connection. Yeah. And eventually, hopefully we can create our own studio and start, investing in ourselves. But we really want to, seed into every form and every aspect of art in this world. And that's the plan. So like have that, that collective and that connection, that network, that spider web. Yeah. So.
And again, strategic partnerships is also another amazing angle that you could go down. So how do you want the outside world to engage with WYDYE? So for someone like me who's not a part of the collective, how can we support?
Man, thank you for asking that question. I would say right now, bro, follow our page, follow and like.
Bro, people are stingy with the follows nowadays. Bro, I was looking at the metrics for the RepsCat page. We got like 95K impressions in 1 month.
Bro, I'm telling you.
And we had like 300 followers. I'm like, gosh.
Like, why are you acting shy,
you like bro? It? You coming back too. Some people like, oh yeah, I've seen all the content, but you're not following. Just hit the follow.
Just hit the button quick. Nah, that's facts. And yeah, bro, I would say like come to our events. We need to be more vocal about the events that we're having. We're still building a foundation, so we've been mostly doing a lot of stuff internally. But the ultimate goal of WYDYE is to open up and expand. So I'd say follow the page. If you see content that you like and comment on it. Like DM us, like let us be vocal about about some of about your creativity, And the best way you can really help WYDYE, I think, is that by just following your own dreams and making sure that you're putting out your work, because I honestly, we thrive off seeing other art because it helps us feed our own art as well. So, and we also thrive by being able to, bring in other artists within the, collective. So if you want to help WYDYE, just be yourself, create art so that we can, we can highlight that. Because really all WYDYE is a platform.
Yeah.
It's not a group. It's not really a collective. I know we call it that. It's a platform and it's a dream. And really it's supposed to be something to elevate us. So we just need more people to elevate.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And before we get to some of the Black Ivy segments, any one piece of advice you would give to younger creative entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Yeah. My advice would be, do not, and I'm really speaking to myself right now, don't worry about perfectionism. Perfectionism really is just fear and anxiety disguised as ambition, right? Something that I found myself, this trap and loop that I would find myself in is constantly trying to make sure my work is perfect, make sure that it looks exactly how I want it to be in my mind, how I planned, 10 years ago. Like that's not how art works. Like what makes some of the best TV shows, music and video, like whatever, like designs powerful and beautiful are the flaws. It's because a human person created that and because you can resonate with it because of those flaws. So if I had advice to anyone is just don't worry about perfectionism. It's stunning your growth. Like if you don't find your voice, you don't even find your voice. I don't believe in the idea of finding your voice. I think you build it. It's something that you do through years of obsessing with your craft, So don't
put in the reps in.
Put them reps in. OD. Exactly. Gotta put the reps in and honestly just go with the flow. And and everything else would just,
I got no other brands to shout out. Go with the flows, Reps Capital. That's it.
Everything else would just fall right into place. Yeah. And I truly believe that. And also find your people. That's the most important aspect.
Love it. Now to get to some of the segments.
Yeah.
First one is the passion pitch. Yeah. So you get 1 to 2 minutes to passionately pitch something that you love, whether it's a hobby, book, sport, whatever it is. We'll take it from there.
Yes, man. So I was actually thinking, I think I was gonna do this the second one.
Oh, you want to? Yeah. What no one understands?
Yeah, something no one understands.
Okay, you can do that one.
Yeah.
So guest shares. Damn, I can't stop coughing. The guest shares a passion or belief that you feel is misunderstood or underrated, and you make a case for it.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just continue off what I was initially saying about like sharing your work. So like I was saying earlier, something that I always hear people say in the creative world these days is like, I make stuff for myself. I create art for myself. And I just think it's such a dangerous way of thinking because it's like the whole point of creating art was, is to connect, right? And it's to create discussion. Like when our ancestors were, before they had a written language, they were telling stories, not because it was lit to tell stories, but because that was how they passed down knowledge and information. So whenever I hear people say, I make art for myself, what I'm really hearing them say is, I'm afraid that if I put this out there, no one's going to appreciate it. I'm afraid if I put this out there, no one's going to like it. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough. And I hate that because that's something that I felt so strongly. But like I said, it's all about flaws. Like the flaws are what makes the art beautiful, And so what I encourage everyone to do is before you put that pen to paper, before you start thinking about what you're gonna write, what your design is gonna look like, think about who are you creating this for? Because art is very paradoxical. It's really interesting, but it's paradoxical because it's like the more specific you are, the more intentional you are, the more people that are gonna be touched by your work. if you go broad and general and you're trying to just make something cool for everybody, nobody's gonna really mess with it. That's just how life works, and it's weird.
Yeah.
But and it's interesting, and I want to clarify when I say like make work for your like don't make art for yourself. I don't mean don't make art for aspect of yourself. Like for when I write a script or make, you know, working on a short film or something, I'm usually making it for that a high school version of myself, a younger version of myself. And I'm not just to make, you know, like something for that weird nerdy, you know, 15-year-old. I'm making it for a generation of weird and nerdy 15-year-olds. I'm trying to capture a moment in time. So I think when we realize that there's so many aspects of ourselves that are so interesting and that people can resonate with, and you focus on that instead of just trying to, you know, hide your work, and because you're afraid that somebody might judge it or it may not be accepted, you know, you're just being a much better position. But,
I love it.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. I'm sold.
Appreciate you, man. I've been trying. You know.
Next question. Tell us what the first scene of your biopic would be about.
Man, I love this question. I do a lot. So like I said, something a lot of people don't know about me is I was born in a refugee camp in the Ivory Coast in 1999. So this was during the Liberian Civil War, which is basically a cultural genocide. They were just doing a lot of bad things over there. So a lot of Liberians were displaced to their sister country of Ivory Coast. Same people, same culture, same food. One country, Ivory Coast, just speaks French, and Liberia speaks English. So me and my family were displaced there in 1999, and my mom, you know, it was me and my mom. She was 24. I was like 3 years old. And my mom is a lot of things, but she's not a punk. She was a hustler. So she would make this every day. She would spend her time, you know, and it's interesting because I actually don't remember, my memory is somewhat fragmented. I don't remember much of the violence and chaos that happened, but I remember a lot of the intimate moments with my mom, oftentimes because she still to this day reminds me of how great of a mother she is. But, you know, she was just like a hustler. And I think my film would honestly start with a close memory with her, which was we're walking down the street right outside of the encampment, and she's basically spends the entire day making this thing called kalaba. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like basically like this powdered white chalk, and it tastes like chalk. Literally tastes like chalk. It's not good, but like they love it over there. So she would spend all day in the afternoon making it, and then she would sell it in the market. And one day we came back home with like $8, which doesn't sound amazing, but for those times, that's like at least 2 weeks of like not having to, you know, work too hard. So we're going back, and, you know, she had a good day. So she buys me some popcorn for like 5 cents. Like I'm lit, my big ass head shaking around. I'm teed at this point. We get back to the camp, and unfortunately it's inspection day. So what inspection day means is the Ivorian soldiers, they come to the camp to see if there are any, you know, rebels being harbored, or if there are any like contraband, you know, being had, which means they're just about to take everybody's money.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mom is not finna go for that. You know, she is a hard worker. I mean, she's a badass. So she's like, you know, they're not about to take my $8. You know, I worked hard for this. So she puts the money in my diaper, because if they want to get that money, they're gonna have to get that money. You know, they're gonna have to earn that. So she puts the money in my diaper, and pretty much everything goes smoothly for a second. You know, the soldiers aren't none a bit wiser until one of them notices me eating popcorn, and they realize, well, if that kid has some popcorn, that means somebody on this camp has money, and they're hiding it, because they don't sell that here. They sell that in the market outside. So the soldier comes up to me, and he starts speaking French. I can't understand a lick of a word he's saying, even though, you know, at this point in time, I could probably understand a little bit of French. And before he can say anything to me, we cut to the next scene, and I'm in boarding school, probably in my French class. Like,
who's gonna write this story? I was hooked. I was sitting there like, how is this about? Wait, how did it play out? Did it?
So like they didn't find the money.
They did it. Okay. No, we need someone, please. Someone write this story. I need to watch this movie. I hope I'm invited to the premiere.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, I won't spoil the ending, but hopefully it ends with like both of us are millionaires, and I'm back on the podcast.
Yeah. We fly to my PJ to your PJ to your mansion. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Wow. That is
simple, easy.
And again, so crazy because I knew none of that about you.
Yeah.
There's so much. That's why I do this.
Right.
You see so many people, you interact with them so much, but you don't know as much about them as you think you do.
Right.
And we all judge each other and make all these assumptions, but it's like, I bet many people don't know that part of your background.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, you know, I was born in Ivory Coast. I was born in a refugee camp. Never get into the specifics.
Yeah.
Because, you know, never had the opportunity. So thank you, Flo. Like I really appreciate what you're doing here because, in we live in a world in a culture where like our culture is taken away from us and we're expected to, settle for less. But you're here, taking the culture back, giving us a voice, giving us a platform to be able to do this. And I mean, it's just watching your episodes and seeing how you interact with everyone really made me, know that I could come here and just really be myself and just talk and know it would like I was super nervous, but as soon as I sat down with you, bro, it was like everything just right?
Man, I appreciate you saying that. Means a lot.
You're doing amazing work, bro, and I can't wait to see what this looks like in the next couple of years. So
means a lot. I appreciate that. Damn, this is so beautiful. That's why I do this, man. I just want to wrap it right here, but the Dominatus I have 2 more questions to ask you. I got 2 more, which again kind of relates to what we just said. Waking up 10 years from now, take me through your most ideal day.
Man, this was the hardest question for me to answer, honestly. I think I would be 35, which means that my life is almost over at that point. No, I'm kidding.
No, just you're trying to see my eyes like, what the fuck did I miss? Okay.
No, we age like fine wine over here. Yeah. No, but honestly, the biggest thing for me is I just want to be loved and appreciated and be part of a big family. So ideally, I'm waking up, next to my beautiful wife. We have a large breakfast with my family, honestly just sleep for the rest of the day. But if that is not the option, I would hopefully ideally like to go to, a studio that I founded. There's a bunch of young people from around the diaspora, just there creating art, sort of basically WYDYE, but in person. And to be able to, just bask in that would be honestly the most beautiful thing. I would feel complete in that moment to know that, if no one remembers who Frank is, at least my legacy would be that I, created something that gave other people a platform and a leverage, similar to what you're doing here. So that day would probably end with, some tequila on the rocks, a little bit of sunshine, some on a beach somewhere. But honestly, the most important thing for me is that human connection. So just being surrounded by the people I love. Friends. Hopefully, maybe I'm in a cul-de-sac with all my college friends.
There's something so. I also
seen that. I would like where there's like a family in Atlanta. I mean, like a bunch of friends in Atlanta like get a cul-de-sac together, and it's like
no, I
didn't
it's but I was just about to say like the idea of like living in a cul-de-sac. Like I mean, I'm actually ideally my plot of land would be big enough that there's no cul-de-sac, but that's a good alternative.
Right.
I would also mess with.
I need me a little garden in the backyard, somewhere for the kids to run around.
And then last question.
Yeah.
Talk to me about why you chose to join BLACKIVY. Shout out Dominatus, who just walked in, our wonderful co-founders. Talk to us about why this was a club you wanted to be a part of.
I know for me, like I realized at a very young age from my parents that there's nothing more important in this world than building human connection. God created Eve, for a reason. He put 2 human beings on this earth for a reason because he knew it wasn't good for us to be alone. So for me, joining BLACKIVY was almost a no-brainer. I met Dominatus in college, and I was lucky enough to, build a relationship with them. And they're 2 of some of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life. So when I found out that they were starting BLACKIVY, I was like, I'm in that, need that, and there are very few communities that I've been part of that, that I've just filled with so many genuine people and brilliant people, because it's like, when you're at a BLACKIVY event, you never feel like there's some sort of, equivalent exchange going on. Like I'm here to get something from you or vice versa. It's really just like people who are genuinely trying to build a connection, who want to support the culture or who want to be part of something greater. And to be a part of that is an extreme blessing, because I feel like BLACKIVY is what the culture should be. It should be us celebrating each other. It should be us, building connections. It should be us, going on fire vacations and turning up, and love, and it's honestly been, for me, more than anything, it's been a great support system. And it's also been something I look at, like, for when you talk about like what does my ideal day look like in 10 years? I'm like, all of my aunties and uncles of my kids, I've met them through BLACKIVY, and it's because of BLACKIVY that I'm now able to feel that, no matter where I go in this country, I got a network.
In this world.
In this world.
Let
me not understand.
We'll be on other planets soon, even up there too.
On Mars. But yeah, it is funny because The first, I remember the first Black Ivy vacation, me and Dom and Addis kind of have this running joke. I didn't get invited. I didn't get invited to the vacation. But there's no beef. There's no beef, of course. I saw the photos. It looked lit. It looked lit. But
it was lit.
But and ever since then, like they've been like, you know, Frank, you know, we didn't know who you were and all that. And I'm like, it's cool. Like I'm just so grateful that they either were, you know, thought to establish this, because it started as something that was just a vacation to bring people together, and now it's a community of people that love and support each other to the highest level. And that is something that, you know, I'm just honored to be a part of. So, and I encourage anyone, you know, who, you know, any young Black person who's just, you know, graduated from Ivy League school, if you need a community, not if you need a community, you do need a community. And it doesn't make sense to not be a part of this, because it's something that's not only going to elevate you, but is going to surround you by some of the most brilliant people on this world, on this planet, and is going to put you in a position to really just be the best version of yourself, you know, because we as human beings, we are mirrors. We reflect all the knowledge, the information, and the love that we get from other people. So you want to be surrounded by other people who are just reflecting love and knowledge always. And that's where you're going to find when you're in Black Ivy. So
I got nothing else to add. What, just clipping that, sending it out into the world.
That's go with the flow right quick.
Hey man, I see what you did there. This guy's good. First ever podcast. I could not tell. Feels like you do this every week. Might have found a new co-host, but nah. This is. I think so. Very last question is just if there's anything else that you haven't been able to touch on that you want to make sure you get across while you are on this platform.
Man, I just want to say, man, Flo, thank you so much, man. Doing this podcast was the first time I've had to actually think about a lot of these questions and do a lot of introspection. And allowed me to, you know, get closer to myself and also get closer to God. And I just want to tell you again, thank you for everything that you've done, bro, and for giving us, you know, a voice and a platform. Like, this is gonna be very amazing. You know, like it already is very amazing, but I'm already can see in, you know, down the line all the amazing things that you're gonna continue to do between Reps Capital and Go With The Flow. And I can't wait to, you know, say that I was a part of that journey at one point.
I appreciate it. And shout out to Dom and Addis for coming to me with this idea of like, let's do. They saw I put the work into this, and they were like, let's.
Yeah, even though they didn't invite me to that first week, nah.
They're like, there's something to do here, but nah. But on some real shit though, this has been such a genuinely great episode. And again, we've known each other. We've been friends for years at this point, but I learned so much about you. Got to actually understand some of your background in a meaningful way, understand some of your inspirations creatively, seeing what you're trying to build with WYDYE. It's just, this is why I do this. I've said that a few times, but like it truly is why I do this. And that's why, again, as long as I can find guests to come on this podcast, there's going to be episodes. This is special.
Nice.
So appreciate you for coming on. This has been another episode of Black Ivy meets Go With The Flow. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.